Hello everyone, welcome to my review of Infinitely Ordinary by The Wrecks. My name is Corey Schmidt, and welcome to Stereospace. Alright, so this is the first album by the alternative rock band The Wrecks. They've been around since 2017, I believe, and they released a single, an EP, and a couple different singles just leading up to this album. This is their first album ever, and it came out just last week on Friday, and I've listened to it I think 4 times now, and I've taken some notes, and I'm ready for a review, so let's get into it. Okay, so The Wrecks wasted no time with their debut album. They only have 8 songs, and it comes out to just under 24 minutes, so I think because it's pretty short, I think I'm just going to go song by song and talk a little bit about each one, what I liked and didn't like, and then just have like a summary at the end, just because I can go through it pretty quick because there's not that many songs. So the first song is called Freaking Out, and this is the first song that they released as a single leading up to this album. I believe it was 2019. And I was excited about it when it first came out because it felt like a new direction for the band, which is exciting because their first 2 releases were more alternative rock with a little bit of a punk style, sort of. And this seemed a little bit more mainstream and introducing a little bit more electronic components, which I think is exciting. And I think it's good that they were able to break out of the normal genre that they were in and explore other things. And normally I think of bands switching into other genres as sometimes bad, because a lot of times bands don't quite find their ground when they try and find a new genre. If it's something that they're not used to, a lot of times they don't really find their new identity perfectly. But luckily this new song, when it came out, I thought that it was a great new direction, and it actually, I could sort of hear the old version of The Wrecks in it, just with the new sort of style, and so that's why I was all for it. And I wasn't concerned or anything like that about their new direction. And so just in general, this is a very awesome, feel-good song about just sort of saying, I'm feeling fine even though my life is crazy, I'm doing the best I can, sort of thing, which I think a lot of listeners can relate to pretty easily. And the only thing I didn't really like about the song is just the bridge, because it was sort of boring and cliche, but overall, The Wrecks aren't necessarily known for their bridges. Usually the main components of their song that are the most exciting are the verses and the choruses, and the bridge is just something that they usually throw in. I'm guessing sort of last second, just because it's sort of something usually that's very cliche that you've heard a lot of times, and it's usually a lot shorter than most bridges, and it just quickly jumps back into the chorus. But I'm okay with that because the chorus and the verses of their songs are so great that it makes up for the bridge maybe lacking a little bit. So that's sort of the case for this song. It's just like a pretty normal bridge, but I'm here for it. I still like the rest of the song, and that's why I think it's a pretty good song. Alright, so the next song is called Feels So Nice, and this one starts off with kind of a weird riff. It's sort of like a police siren sounding riff, kind of, and at first I really didn't like it, but after a couple more listens, just this past weekend, I was listening to it almost every day, and it kind of grew on me, and I thought, okay, I guess I'm okay with this. But the rest of the song I'm not totally okay with in the end, because I think the song sort of tried to merge 3 different styles at once, and it didn't really work. It's sort of hard to explain, but I'll do the best I can. The verses sort of sound like 2 different Wrecks songs that they put together for each line, because it sort of is like one type of singing with a rhyme scheme. I don't know the exact term, so I apologize, but just like this one type of singing for the lead singer, and then at the end of the line, it's a totally different thing, and so it sort of feels like it doesn't really match up at all, and they're trying to put it together.
You said I look like a Stone song. I said, baby, I can fuck like one too. I could be anything that you want me to. I could be your best friend, and well, I could be a whole lot more than that.
And then it jumps into the pre-chorus, which is a very it sounds like a regular poppy chorus, but it's actually in the pre-chorus, and it's super quiet and stuff, and I was like, okay, I guess that's where the song's gonna go now. And I'm not a big fan of that kind of pop stuff, but it's okay. And then the chorus comes in, and it goes straight back to the style of the verse, and I was like, what? This doesn't make sense at all. So it was a really weird mishmash of different styles that I think just they were too different from each other to really work together, and that sort of made me not like the song as much. I like each of the individual parts okay, but just together it just doesn't really come together. Luckily, they made up for that last song with the next song called Out of Style. This was the latest song that they released as a single before the album came out, And this is probably one of my favorite songs by the Rex, mostly because of the lyrics that they wrote. I think it is really, really unique. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm going to play you the second verse, which is probably my favorite verse of any Rex song ever. Take a listen.
My room looks dope. I bought these LED lights, but no one knows I'm alone like pretty much every weeknight. Heard you're pregnant. That's cool, I guess. But can you make your whole room glow 3 different shades of red? She said yes.
I love that verse. Like I said, it's probably one of my favorites of any Rex song. And when it first came out, I listened to it a bunch of times. I was like, oh my god, that's so funny. And the first time that I actually heard that song was when I saw them live last December. And I kind of wasn't paying attention because, you know, at a live show you're not paying as close attention to the lyrics. Sometimes you're just enjoying the music. But I heard some of the lines and I was like, what is he talking about? That's so funny. And then it came out and I was like, oh, it's that song. Oh yeah, that's awesome. And then I finally heard what he was saying and I was like, that's so funny. LED lights, oh my gosh. So I just love the way that song is written. It's one of those things where it's so specific, but you can still relate to it, which is one of the hardest things to do. But they definitely pulled it off, and that's why I love this song a lot. Alright, so the next song, its title, I don't want to get demonetized for saying it, so it is FVCK Somebody. And I think they did it that way so that we don't get demonetized, so thank you. So this song is a little bit slower in terms of the tempo, but not in terms of the mood or the lyrics or anything like that. It still is a great, another great feel-good Rex song, just like the classic Rex. And again, the only thing I didn't really like was just that the bridge was sort of boring and cliche, but again, that's a common theme with the Rex, and I don't hold it against them because the rest of the song is still really, really good. Alright, this next song is called 4, and I'm super excited about this song because it's finally a slow song by the Rex. This is their first song in their entire catalog that is actually slow tempo, actually like beautiful melodies, not a lot of percussion, stuff like that, and that is a rarity for them. They have I know that they only had 8 songs before this, and now there's another 8, so out of 16, there isn't a lot of songs to go off of to find a slow song, but I am happy that they finally have one. 1 out of 16, woohoo! And I can appreciate a good slow song every once in a while, and I'm happy that they finally released one. The only thing is, it is a little bit cliche as for a slow song, and I hate to say that again, because I don't like using that word to describe a band that I love, but it sort of feels like a little bit of a cliche song in terms of a regular slow building song. Because it starts with like the sort of slow, quiet vocals and little violins, and then builds up to the huge full orchestra vocals like belting out their message, and like washing cymbals, like where you blah 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 blah. That's not the sound of a cymbal wash, I don't know what that is. Washing cymbals is sort of like where you use mallets on like a crash cymbal and you like build it up like the shh, that sort of sound. That's like sort of like what you would expect from like a beautiful build up of a song. And it even is complete with like the vocals come out with like the image of like Ariel just like on the edge of a rock just singing her heart out, sort of style that sort of is it's sort of a cliche for beautiful songs that just sort of build. And I still love the song. I think it is indeed beautiful, and it has some great moments where it's just sort of like a duet with the singer, and the little violin plucks him saying like home. He's like repeating that word. I think that's a really beautiful moment, and that stuff is unique, and that's why I like it. But the other parts of the song that are sort of just like a cliche build-up is a little bit annoying. But overall, again, I'm happy that they have a slow song, and I'm glad that they're able to dive into different moods with their songs as well, and not just have another feel-good song. Not that I hate those, but again, I like having a mix of moods sometimes. Alright, this next song, called We All Get Lonely, I think is a super cool, great song. However, I don't think it fits in the track listing right where it is. Because beforehand we have the quiet song 4 that I was just talking about. That's a nice build-up and super emotional. And then right after we cut into We All Get Lonely, which is the super loud distorted guitar riff that I think just really throws you off, because you're sort of like, oh wow, what a lovely song, and listening to 4, and you're like, oh yay, and then you're like, boom, oh my gosh, loud guitar riff. And it sort of makes your mind like have to adjust to the new mood really fast, which I don't really like as much. And so I wish that they had maybe put it in a different spot, because it sort of ruins the beauty of 4, because all of a sudden you're shifting into this new mood as a listener. So that's something that I don't like as much. But once your brain adjusts, I think it's a really awesome song, and the riff is really cool. and they're able to have a lot of really cool lyrics, and the rhyme scheming and the lyricism of this song is very unique. For the Rex, it's a lot more like hip-hop and pop style, which I think is great that they're able to sort of dip their toes in different genres while still sort of having the same general style, which I think is really cool. And it's another great like Rex feel-good classic song that makes you want to just like sing in front of a foggy mirror with like a hairbrush as a mic, just like, you know, just singing all the lyrics, and that's something that they do super well, and so I'm glad that they were able to pull that off on this song as well. And I think it's good that they added another great Rex feel-good song to their catalog as well. Alright, this next song is the second to last one on the album. It's called This Life I Have, and it's another song like out of style that I've actually heard them play live before they released it. I've heard them play it twice, and the first time was acoustic, and the second time was just like regular full band. And I love this song both times because it's a great just like expression and representation of just having to choose between loving and hating your life, and just ultimately choosing to love it. And I think that's a great message. The only thing that I don't really like about this song in terms of the recorded version is that they distorted the vocals a lot, which sometimes I think is good because it adds to like the edginess and the angstiness of the vocals. But I think one thing that I liked about the versions when I saw them live was that you could really hear the emotions expressed through the vocals and the way that he was singing it. And I think that when you distort the vocals a lot, it sort of sands off like the edges of the emotion a little bit, and it's sort of harder to see the emotion, or hear, I should say, the emotion. Even though you have the emotion when you read the lyrics and hear the lyrics, but just adding that emotion in the vocal performance, I think, makes it a lot stronger, and they sort of lose that when they add the distortion. So that's the only thing I didn't like about this song, but overall I think it's a really, really cool song, and I'm glad that they finally recorded it after having heard it live a couple times. Alright, we made it to the last song on the album, and it's called Infinitely Ordinary, same as the name of the album itself. And this is the last great Rex feel-good song of the album. It's a really solid song, really fun chorus, it's fun to sing to. The only thing I didn't really like about it is it felt a little bit poppy, and I feel like if you added an acoustic guitar it would be like a country song almost, which is not my favorite. I don't like that genre, but that's okay. I think they have it Rex sounding enough to still fit with the rest of their catalog, and it's still another great song, and it's a great way to end off the album, and I still think, yeah, I still think it's a really good song. Alright, so that's the album. Once again, it was 8 songs, almost 24 minutes, and I think overall it was a great album. In terms of the individual songs, I didn't think that the bridges of each song were necessarily that exciting, but once again, that's not something that the Rex are especially known for or incredibly good at. The thing that they're great at, I think, is great verses and choruses that make you want to dance and sing along, and they definitely pulled that off on this album. The other thing I didn't like totally about it is just that a lot of the songs have a lot of distortion, whether it's in the vocals or in the riff like I've been talking about. And I think after listening to the whole album all the way through, especially when you listen to it twice, it sort of really hurts your brain after a while, because you're like, oh my god, I need to listen to something that is clean to sort of like refresh your brain and almost make it feel better after that. But I think just listening to the songs by themselves, I think are really, really good. And yeah, so I don't think that affected the overall album experience that much. And overall, I think it's a great album. I wouldn't say that you can find some greater meaning to life in this album. I mean, overall, it's just 8 fun songs about just living as an adult and trying to make the best of your life and just being grateful for what you have. And I think that's a great message, and they definitely pulled that off. So overall, I'd rate it about an 8 out of 10, with my only comment being, why is it so short and why did it take 3 years? But otherwise, I think it's great. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. Let me know what you thought of the album and what you think of this video in the comments, because this is still the beginning of my channel. I'm super excited to see where it goes. Also, make sure to look out for my weekly series called Check It Out, where I talk about an unknown artist that I think you should add to your library. That's definitely a really fun thing that I'm excited to be doing every week, so make sure to look out for that, and check out my other videos as well. And I'm really excited to see where this YouTube channel goes, because I know it's just started. So thank you again for watching Stereo Space, and we'll see you next time.